Welcome to Subramani. I've spoken a lot about investing for retirement and investing in equities for retirement. So carrying it forward, I was looking for some equity investing research on how investors' portfolios have behaved for longer periods of time in the US for people who have retired. So one Professor Wong has done some research on this, and he comes to the conclusion that investing in the broad market index may not be sufficient. So his data is for a person who starts investing at the age of 25, invests 4% of his income, and has doing a review at the age of 65. He realizes that there is a very high chance of portfolio failure if he is in a broad-based index. The broad-based index does not give enough growth for this investor from very long periods of time, and up to 2013 or 2014 he has got data, and he has taken from maybe 1960s, so he's got 40-50 years of data and saying it is not sufficient. So what has to be done is get into a dividend yield portfolio, right? So he says if you get into a dividend yield or a value portfolio and not the general market index. Now what happens with DIY is people who say, okay, I should put all my money in an index fund. Index fund is what will do well. Yes, it will do well, but in this case it's not sufficient. Of course, there are two solutions. One is get into better fund management and therefore get better returns than what the market has given, which is not very easy. Or he says if you get into a value-based portfolio or a dividend yield portfolio, that might do better. So of course the other possibility is don't just save 4% of your income. In Indian context, I see people saving anything from 10% to 90% of their income, right? Depending on if it's a young boy or a girl staying with the parents and is able to save almost 100% of what they earn, right? So if I'm talking of a boy or a girl who is staying with parents who are well provided for, who have enough money, is the only kid or maybe two kids in a prosperous family, chances are that kid will save 100% of the income. And if it's a young person who is supporting parents, who is supporting a sibling going to college, or a sister who's got to be married and incurring all those expenses, obviously that person will be able to save maybe 10 or 15%. But 4% is not an Indian number, it's an American number. And also in America, the chances of being able to build a value portfolio seems to be much less than in India. So you could build a value portfolio, you could go for a good fund manager, you could go for any of those things and improve the yield. Or you say, I will stick to index funds because I don't know which fund will perform over the next 25-35 years. So I don't want to change fund managers, or I don't want to change funds because the fund manager that has resigned, has died or whatever, or I don't know anything about the succession planning. So I will not choose, I will choose only index funds. Both these solutions are possible. The discretion is completely yours. So here is a person who has used a glide path and said, okay, this is the peak of my equity. After that, I'll sell 2% every year. So at the age of 65, 66, when he was reviewing, does not get a good feeling. So what can you do if you are in India and you want to have equity in your during your retirement? I think you should start investing early, build a good portfolio, and then start liquidating the portfolio after your age of say 70. Because after 70, maybe you are not going to be very alert. So you take the help of a younger person who is more alert, may not be smarter than you, but more alert to these opportunities, what is happening. You keep on reducing the size of your portfolio. I don't mean the value only, I also mean the length. If you've got say 27 shares when you started off at retirement, make sure that every year you sell off at least one share. So 27, 26, 25, 24, or you take a hit and say from 27 I'll go to 20 and from 20 I'll go to 12. Right, so you can do both these attitudes, or you can say every year I will sell a little of everything because I don't know which is going to do well and which is going to do badly, but at the age of 75 I will review it and make sure that I've got enough money to go to a complete debt or an annuity bank fixed deposit kind of a bad portfolio which is going to underperform the markets, which is tax inefficient, but still it means one thing, it means it gives me simplicity. I know on the 1st of every month or 5th 5th of every month an amount of money will hit my account, and that's enough for me to live. And in case of an emergency, I have money in bank fixed deposits, and I know I will know how to break it even at my age of 90. I don't have to worry about long term, short term, momentum investing, mid cap, large cap, US investing. I don't want to get into all that stuff because I don't want to complicate my brain with these things. Again, a good attitude, but the question is, you still need some equity in your retirement stage to battle inflation, because you could retire at 60 and die at 100, right? So 40 years you have to worry about inflation in India. Whatever people say, if you don't write down your expenses and measure it, you do not know what is going to be the inflation hitting you. What is the inflation hitting you is far more important than what is the inflation that you're reading about in the papers. That doesn't matter. That 7% doesn't matter. If the inflation hitting you is 11%, you have to be prepared for, you will need 11% increase in your withdrawal. So I think to have equity in your retirement portfolio, you cannot retire at 60 and say I've got 3 crores of retirement money, so I start building a portfolio. That would be a very, very bad and a stupid move. And it could lead to disaster, though I know people who are trying and attempting that. If you have built a portfolio over a long period of time, and you are comfortable with equity, and you have got an equity portfolio which you can decide to sell when you want rather than when you must, that's the kind of portfolio which you can carry into your retirement and keep withdrawing small amounts of money over longer periods of time rather than being forced to sell in the short run and make a loss. Right, so if you can create that portfolio, then yes, you should have equity in your portfolio. That too, I would put a limit of 70, which is what Ken Fisher says about Phil Fisher not being able to make very good decisions after his age of 70. If you are a Charlie Munger buck or a Warren Buffett buck, then you're going to be saying, okay, I can decide at the age of 95 what to do. So it's your own attitude towards risk, towards understanding, towards your ability of your brain to have all those choices and understand the choices and make the right choices. If you don't know that, you will have to move to a dull, boring annuity and bank fixed deposit kind of a terrible portfolio, very tax inefficient and giving a poor return. But it gives you one thing, it gives you peace of mind and the solidity of knowing that on the 5th of every month or on the 1st of every month an X amount is going to hit your bank account, which is sufficient for you to be able to live on a day-to-day basis, and it is indexed. You have bought an index pension, so every year it will go up by 4-5% and your expenses go up by that percentage. As long as you can fix all this, then you can decide to have how much equity you want in your portfolio, or say I've reached a stage when I don't need any equity, because even with a very poor and inefficient product like bank fixed deposit or annuity, after paying the taxes, I will have enough money to live for the rest of my life. What I get is peace of mind. So all these choices are yours. You have to make those choices as and when you go. So at 60 you don't have to make the choice, but you have to say, okay, at 70 I will use this discretion and start managing my portfolio along with my son, daughter, wife, nephew, niece, fund manager, whoever. Thank you.